buddy.
Hi, guys. Well, from beautiful, if a little bit cold, Salt Lake City, Utah,
It's Thank God I'm Atheist.
the podcast.
I'm Frank Feldman.
And I'm Dan Beecher.
And coming up on the show today, we have a special guest, Dan.
We do. Noah Lugeons,
Holy
famous
crap.
podcaster from like 211 different podcasts.
I don't know how he does it.
No. He, well...
I struggle with ours.
What I don't know is how he has written a book in the midst of all of it. But he has, and we're going to talk to him about it, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
But you have to wait all the way till the end of the show for that.
No skipping.
Because fast forward doesn't
ahead.
exist.
Stop it, everyone. Anyway.
In the meantime,
Dan.
yeah.
Oh, let's talk about the miracle of the monoliths.
Oh, my goodness.
It is crazy, Dan. This is happening all over the world. It started with Utah. Our little Utah, Dan.
Just in the middle of the southern Utah desert, somebody finally noticed a monolith that seems to have been there for a few years.
Yeah. Harming no one except the soil that it was carved into, I guess. The hard rock that it was carved into. But
the soil.
No one. It was in the middle of nowhere. Nobody knew about it even.
Yeah, you had to walk through one of our weird Red Rock canyons to get to it, and then it was just a cute little
It was there.
15-foot tall, stainless steel looking thing.
Yeah. Well, the authorities discovered it. It's now gone, missing, stolen, absconded with.
Yeah.
And now there's just this phenomenon that's happening around the world where monoliths are appearing. Right. Well, there was one that popped up in California. Did you hear about that one?
No, I heard about one in Romania.
Yeah. It's crazy, right? They're just everywhere. Well, anyway, the one out in California, we know how it met its end because a group of 3 men filmed themselves pushing the monolith over and chanting America first and Christ is King. They were wearing Make America Great Again. One of them was wearing a Make America Great Again headband.
Okay.
And he called part of the monolith construction gay. And then they replaced the monolith with a wooden cross when they were done. Amongst the things that they said about it, Christ is king in this country. We don't want illegal aliens from Mexico or outer space. So let's tear this bitch down.
What the fuck are you talking about?
I'm talking about Trump supporters.
The level of insanity that you just described to me is... I mean, you just keep peeling back layers after layers. A, do they think that this was done by aliens? Maybe. B, if there are aliens, they're going to reject the concept of aliens in favor of Jesus.
I have a feeling that is what would happen at this point, Dan. I think they would be like, well, we need to teach the aliens about Jesus.
Right?
These godless aliens.
Have you heard the good word? Have you heard about have you been bathed in the blood of Christ? No, we're not threatening you. No, don't worry about it. Good.
Isn't that
God.
amazing?
That is terrifying and perfect. You literally can't get more American than something being there with no explanation offered by anyone, and then just without even a coherent conspiracy theory involved, just they assume it's against them in some way, and they just knock it over.
I know.
It's amazing.
It's
amazing.
Exactly the world we live in right now.
You should at least have to articulate which conspiracy you think is happening before you vandalize something.
I know. I don't understand how illegal aliens from quote, illegal aliens from Mexico enters the discussion. Right?
I mean,
or outer space.
It's got the word alien right in it, Frank. I don't know what the confusion is.
I don't know. They were confused. They heard the aliens put it there, and just to cover their bases, they're like,
well, I don't like no aliens. The Mexican, you got three kinds of aliens. You got Mexicans, you got space, and other. I'm okay with other, but the first two I'm not okay with them.
Okay, anyway.
Oh my God. Well, this is apropos of none of that, but I'm going to take us down under to where it's starting to be quite sunny and beautiful in Australia.
God damn you, Australia!
I know.
You do this to us every year.
Give the sun back, you bastards! Anyway, that axial tilt gets us every time. In Australia, back in 2013, their government set up, I don't know if you've heard this, Frank, but it seems that there have been lots of large groups that have somehow sheltered or abetted in some way pedophilia. These are mostly religious groups that, one of their priests or somebody in their group has assaulted someone, usually a young person, and then it's either been covered up by that organization or it's been, any number of things. This has been happening. We all know about it. Well, Australia decided to set up a national redress scheme as a way to sort of get some payment to the victims of this. And so if you were sexually abused as a child, basically you could submit an application to this scheme, and the scheme would then go to the organization that you're accusing and just say, hey, they're saying this happened, and then you would get a payout. You didn't have to go through a court system or anything, is my understanding.
Right. Okay.
And the government
seems efficient.
The government would kind of determine how much the payout would be or whatever.
It's actually horrifying. I mean, it sounds like a good system. It is horrifying that such a system has to be set up.
Oh my God! It is.
You're like, oh wow, what a great thing.
It says such terrible things about humanity. Yeah. Because it's not. While it is mostly religious groups that are now joining this scheme, it's not entirely religious groups. There are groups like there are secular groups that are part of it. Anyway, one of the things about this scheme is that the organizations sort of have to join of their own accord.
Oh, okay.
Now, there's huge public pressure to do so, and there's some teeth to this law, which says that if you don't join it and you're sort of implicated in it, well, then you could lose a bunch of things. You could be cut off from federal funding, and they might take away your tax exempt status.
Oh.
Recently the government of Australia has released the names of a group of 6 organizations which did not sign up for the National Redress Scheme. One of which being the Jehovah's Witnesses.
Of course not. Yeah.
Now,
of course.
as soon as this list of 6 came out, one of the groups did a complete flip-flop because they heard instantly from a lot of people involved. This was a group called the Australian Air League, which I take to be a youth group that's interested in aviation.
Oh,
and they were not going to be a part of this, and then they flipped and said, "Oh nope, we will." But Jehovah's Witnesses, not so much.
Yeah,
they basically said, "No, we're handling things internally just fine, thank you very much." To which
of course
the Australian government may just say, "Well then, fuck you. You have to pay taxes."
Good.
So I am delighted by this turn of events. If they lose their tax exempt status, I'm happy. If they just, if they just don't, if they join the scheme and then have to pay the victims of abuse, then I'm happy too. This is a win-win for me, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
So
that's great.
That's good.
Yeah, thank you, Australia.
Yeah, exactly.
That's...
It's a model for the rest of the world that the United States of America will never actually live up to.
Sad but true. All right. Well, Dan.
Yeah.
I've got the story of a live nativity. It's the season. It is the season for the war on Christmas. So I thought that we should talk about a live nativity that has been staging itself and outside of the Supreme Court building in Washington, D.C.
Fancy.
Yeah. And, it's an ad hoc affair. It's not, government providing the space even, right? Because it sounds like they kind of get up and move around a bit. It's sort of a moving nativity scene at times.
Well, that's the best kind, really.
As Mary, Joseph, some shepherds, the three wise men, and a baby Jesus sort of have to, not run afoul of, probably loitering rules or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I mean... We have the right to assembly in this country, but sometimes you have to get a permit.
Yeah, exactly, right? And this is not the kind of thing that would be probably permitted because it's inappropriate for the government to officially allow for this kind of a space for this kind of thing.
Right.
Anyway, this is the 12th year that a group called Faith and Liberty has put on this same event.
Do they knock up a woman every year just so they'll have a baby?
I think it's part of they don't really show that part of the process so much.
Oh, okay.
But
I feel like that would be how you show real commitment with something like this.
So they always have a fresh baby. Babies aren't that hard to find. Outside of I don't know, the circles that I run in. I mean, I never see babies. But
you want a baby? I can get you a baby.
No, if I encounter a baby, I'm like, wow, how did my day go that direction? Anyway, so, and this is perhaps, I think as long as they're kind of getting up and moving around and just kind of, they're doing their thing. It's not official. I actually don't have that big of a problem with this because other people can show up and do their little protest or whatever. Yeah. Right.
Well, it's kind of like the Spider-Man guy on Times Square or something. It's
right, exactly.
It's cosplay at this point.
Right. It's basically harmless. It is cosplay. That would be funny to approach them and compliment them on their cosplay. Yeah. But no, unfortunately, this is where the whole thing kind of goes the wrong way. This group, the actors in the group, they sing, they pray out loud. They read the Christmas story from the Gospel of Matthew, and in the picture
from Matthew, they're not going Luke.
I know.
Come on, you gotta go Luke on the Christmas story. What are you, mad?
I know.
This is insanity.
But judging by the picture on the article, they have a the little rolly luggage, carry-on luggage that people like so much these days. They've got a speaker that's sort of set up like that and a woman with a microphone. So they have sort of a traveling loudspeaker set up. So this is actually...
It's a public annoyance show.
It is absolutely a public annoyance. These people are out there to bug everybody with their Christianity. And that's where it goes wrong for me. If you're just being cute, I don't have a problem with it. But as soon as you start making too much noise, go away.
Don't ruin my lunch. Just leave me alone. You know what I mean? I don't need this.
Yeah, but if you're just Like, seriously, like, if they were just over there being reverent or whatever.
Right. If they were just, like, frozen.
Yeah. I would actually be like, that's cute. I like it.
Yeah.
I actually would. Legit.
Yeah.
So, but anyway.
There you go. All right. Ding dongs.
And they're not masked.
Oh, of course they're not masked. Are you kidding me? They don't even believe in that. That's not a real thing. Well, we talked about this back in 2016. There was a general conference of the United Methodist Church. And we talked about it last year because in 2016 they were supposed to sort of discuss sexuality and the full inclusion of LGBTQ people, and maybe even should we discuss? We got to get a handle on this whole marriage thing and all of these stuff.
Yeah.
And what they decided in 2016 was to kick the can to 2019.
Okay.
They have a quadrennial general conference. Every 4 years they meet.
Oh.
So they were going to have a special session in 2019, and they did. And then the delegates, you'll recall, voted against allowing the church to ordain LGBTQ clergy or perform same-sex marriages, which then that led to the idea of schism, which they were all going to discuss in 2020. But I don't know if you know this, but 2020 sucks ass. And so they couldn't hold their general conference because we got this pandemic on. And so that was postponed until next fall at the earliest. They're not going to do it. But that is too much time to wait. One small group of Methodists has decided to break away and to form a new denomination called the Liberation Methodist Connexion, spelled with an X in the middle for no apparent reason, except that it feels more progressive if you put X's in it, and they can turn their acronym into LMX.
Oh, okay.
So,
Connexion.
LMX is apparently now a thing.
And what are they for or against?
They are for the wokeness, baby.
Okay, good. Okay, good for them.
These are the ones who are going to be totally totes cool with the gays and the trans folk and all that sort of stuff, and will be ordaining and blessing same-sex marriages.
Well, this might be a little blast from the past for some of our gay listeners, older gay listeners probably. But there used to be a gay dating website called Connexion, spelled the same way.
Oh, there you go.
So they are very progressive. Look at them.
Yeah, they're getting all kind of gay with it. Oh,
the
man.
URL probably suddenly became available, and so it had been taken up.
Oh, there are some confused folks looking for dates right now. Why is everybody on this app a pastor now? What is happening?
This isn't what I wanted.
This is not what I wanted.
Oh, so like farmers.com or whatever the one. Farmers only or whatever.
Whatever that is. Amazing.
But pastorsonly.com. Anyway, I've got an interesting little piece here about the group of secular Democrats, Dan.
Oh,
it's the Secular Democrats of America. They have, it's a PAC, right? But good group promoting.
For
good
those
stuff.
of you who aren't Americans, a PAC is a political action committee. It is a way of raising funds for. It's a big loophole thing. Never mind. It's a political committee.
Yeah,
it's a political group.
They should not be legal, but they are legal, so you might as well use them as well, I guess.
Right.
Anyway, they have released a 28-page document giving recommendations for President-elect Joe Biden. Doesn't that just sound wonderful?
Keep saying it.
Well, I want to be saying President Joe Biden.
I don't even feel like that's a thing until January 20th. Like or 21st or whenever it is. I am not comfortable until it actually happens.
It is,
and the man.
It's looking good though, Dan. Like,
it's looking very, very good. So far, the shenanigans have all failed, but I'm still not like 100%.
Yeah,
I don't feel out of the woods yet.
And the document is actually being presented to the Biden administration by Democratic Representatives Jamie Raskin and Jared Huffman. They're both co-chairs of the Congressional Free Thought Caucus. We've been talking a lot about the need for more sort of like, just secular folk and atheists and whatnot in politics.
And engagement.
And being out there and engaged. And, this is actually something that is just, I think it's spectacular. And the things that they're asking for are probably not all going to happen. But here's a few of them, just so that we can mull them over and just know what is being promoted by people who have our values and our interests in mind. And this
right.
and this, I should also just back up slightly. They are presenting this as a stated response to Christian nationalism. Right. They are saying that because of Christian nationalism and and how concerning the rise of it is in this nation, that we need to really shore up our secular government, right?
Yeah.
And even just the way that we communicate about government. And so a lot of this has to do with that. One thing that they've sort of recommended is that the Biden administration use e pluribus unum, which was never really the official motto of the country. It was just sort of accepted as an unofficial motto.
Right. Which it's Latin for out of the many, one.
Yeah. And it's a perfect motto for the United States.
Yeah. I was taught that one. I remember being taught that one as a kid.
Yeah.
And being taught that America was supposed to be for lots of people.
Yeah.
So that was a good thing.
Yeah.
And we kind of lost track of that.
Yeah.
Along the way.
Because right now I think it would be e unum.
Yeah, exactly.
However that would work.
Whatever Latin is for fuck you, every man for himself, leave me alone, Jesus, woohoo!
And this is obviously in response to the growing push all around the country, unfortunately, for "In God We Trust" to be emblazoned fucking everywhere.
Yeah.
"In
God We Trust" was made the motto in the 50s during the Red Scare.
Absolutely, yeah. And one other suggestion was that the administration should withhold federal funds from any faith-based organization that discriminates against its employees or program beneficiaries on the basis of religion. I think that's great.
Okay.
They say, so this is Raskin saying, Trump's ministers and judges have turned religious free exercise into a weapon against anti-discrimination law. And this essential fallacy must be corrected. The Biden administration should quickly debunk the right-wing myth that personal free exercise of religion is a license to discriminate against other people in the provision of services in government and the marketplace. This is so critical. This is so important that this is articulated well and that it becomes understood throughout the left that this is what it is, right? That they are discriminating against non-believers.
Right. Their privilege amounts to a right to discriminate against people that they have no right to discriminate against.
And it's not just non-believers. They also want to discriminate against gay people and whomever else they have a beef with. Let's see. They're also calling for the Biden administration to rescind or dismantle policies and groups created by the Trump administration, such as the Department of Justice Religious Liberty Task Force, which they argue potentially releases faith-based groups from non-discrimination requirements. They're also asking the Biden team to roll back Trump's efforts to curtail the enforcement of the U.S. tax code that prohibits nonprofit groups from endorsing candidates for political office. This is the Johnson Amendment thing, right?
Right. Which has not been enforced, like, literally ever.
Right.
But Trump came out with a signing statement that was just like, don't ever enforce this.
Right. And then then what was always sort of a little bit of a problem just became
a
huge problem. And then the last one I want to kind of bring up is they're suggesting that the federal government pressure states to repeal non-medical exemptions for vaccination. Right?
Yes.
And making vaccination mandatory for children in schools and daycare centers, including religious exemptions. Let's not risk the responsible children, or the children of responsible parents, right, who are having their children vaccinated, and instead they're going to school with kids that aren't. And this is the real definition of herd immunity, right? It's not this whole like crazy idea that's been floating out there that you can get an entire population sick enough that then you'll have herd immunity. It doesn't work that way. Herd immunity works through vaccination. That's the only way to get there. So,
yeah. I mean, if they get any percentage of the things that they asked for, because you said it's like
it's 28
30-page document.
Yeah, they're not going to get much. I know they're not going to get much, but they're going to get some of it.
Even if they just get everybody thinking about it a little bit better, that in and of itself is good. I don't expect to see e pluribus unum making a big comeback, because. And I don't expect most of these things to go through because, unfortunately, politicians suck. They have to worry about, nobody wants to be seen as going against religion, and that's how they're too easily painted that way.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
just getting the word out there, just getting the messaging changed up is a positive thing.
It's awesome. Yeah. So good luck to them.
Yes, good. Very much so. Very much so. Yeah. We're going to actually, we might need to reach out and find some ways that we can be supportive of that
Absolutely,
effort. Yeah. I am going to close us out with good news for all of our listeners in the fine state of Georgia. If you are there, oh man, the circus is coming to town. They're barnstorming you. And here's what's coming. It is a group of sort of evangelical Christians who are going to just blitz around Georgia all this week, trying to rally voters to vote for the shitbags in the Senate runoff in January.
Oh no!
If you guys don't know about this, the Senate races in Georgia have not been decided yet. They have gone to a runoff that's mandated by their electoral law,
right?
And so both of the Senate seats are up for re-election, and it's vital because if the Democrats were to win both of the seats, they would have the Senate and the House and actually be able to get some shit done,
right?
And if otherwise, Mitch McConnell still has some power, and that's the worst thing that could possibly happen.
Yeah, that is a man you don't want to have any power. Yeah, I mean, he can hold up the entire agenda, right?
Yeah, and has done, and
will do, if he
very
can.
much will do.
Yeah.
So, if you're in Georgia, do everything you can to make sure that those Democrats win. If you're not in Georgia,
donate,
if you're a United States citizen, donate.
Yeah. Like, seriously.
It's pretty important.
Yeah.
So anyway, one of the reasons that you have to work so hard is that this group, there's a group of people having super spreader events around the state trying to make sure that they give this virus to everybody they can. And that group is headlined by, apparently, Rick Green. Now, that's funny to me because I don't really know who Rick Green is. He's the founder of Christian nationalist Patriot Academy.
Oh, God.
Which I don't know anything about. But it's him and David Barton, I do know about. He's a pretend historian who's written a number of books that completely rewrite history about the U.S. and the Judeo-Christian beginnings thereof. And also Barton's son, Tim, who's apparently a minister and runs the terrible activist group Wall Builders, which you can't come up with a more Christian name than building walls. Like, if there's one thing Jesus was totally about, it was good fences make good neighbors. I'm pretty sure that was in the Beatitudes. Anyway,
blessed be the
also
fence
coming.
builders.
Yeah, exactly. Also coming along are Kirk Cameron, famed 1980s famous actor, now turned religious fanatic. Kirk Cameron, Representative Barry Loudermilk of Georgia, who's a U.S. representative, and also, interestingly, former U.S. Representative Michelle Bachmann, who apparently is still relevant. I'm not sure how,
because she keeps herself in the mix. She
sure does.
Well, I hope they get sick.
I hope everybody gets sick. I don't know. No, I don't hope they all get sick. I don't. But yeah, I mean, it does seem like they're basically going to whistle on a whistle stop tour of towns, small and large, mostly small, weirdly. And they're going to be trying to mobilize the red part of that very, very purple, but ever so slightly bluer state.
Yeah, unbelievable.
So
well, I'm sure there's plenty of activity on the other side that's hopefully being a little bit safer.
Yes, yes,
because...
and if you haven't had a chance to reach out to figure out a way to give some money to the campaigns, and give one of the guys running is even a pastor, and I can't endorse him enough over the shitbags that he's running against.
Yeah,
so,
and seriously, folks, give directly to the campaigns. Look up and give directly to them. You can give to the state party, but like if you want to make sure the money gets to the candidates, give to the candidates.
Yeah.
So,
well, if you have anything you'd like to say about that or anything else that we've said on this show, please feel free to write into us, podcast@thankgodimatheist.com,
or call and leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442. Stick around, guys. There's more show coming up. Hey, Dan.
Yes?
Here's a voice that we don't... No, wait. I was about to say we don't hear often enough on the show. That is not true. I could live with never hearing his voice ever fucking again. One of the most hateful men alive, and also on the internet. Rick Wiles.
Yeah, follower of Jesus because he hates so well.
Yes.
Rick Wiles.
He is... this video is amazing.
Well, here's the thing. Just as context, what he's referencing is that the federal government, they're trying to change a policy. The U.S. government can, and has some capital crimes for which there would be execution as one of the outcomes. And they I think the only way that they were previously allowed to commit that execution was with lethal injection, and they're changing that so that so that they can open it up to any form of execution that's legal in the state where the sin was committed.
Right, because the issue with lethal injection is that it's been deemed too cruel.
Well, and also the companies that make the drugs are not allowing it anymore. Because they're not selling it.
Because they know it's going to be used for what has turned out to be a horrifying death. The person is paralyzed and then injected with what people now believe is probably one of the most painful deaths. It's like just hot poison running through their veins.
Yeah. It's
really,
not
truly,
awesome.
truly awful way for these people to die. So instead, let's shoot them.
So that's a possibility. As ways to go. Anyway. Rick is going to opine with some of his buddies on whatever their show is about what this is really all about.
Firing squad rule change fast-tracked.
Right. After the election.
After a major shakeup at the Pentagon.
Right.
But it wasn't,
General Flynn pardoned today.
and it wasn't like this was put out there to make it look obvious. Like, hey, look what we're going to do.
Yeah.
It was like buried.
On the day before Thanksgiving when nobody's even paying attention to news except people like us. All right, we're going to...
So why this change, Rick? Why would they fast track this?
I'm not trying to be funny about it, but because they plan to shoot some people.
That would be the only explanation.
They're going to have a bunch of traitors. They're going to line them up against the wall and start shooting them because that's what they deserve.
That's what the law is.
The Democrats, the news media, if the leftists, if scientists, professors have been working secretly with the Chinese Communist Party, then line them up against the wall and shoot them. That's what you do with them.
That's what you do with them, Frank.
Sure.
It's easy. You just line them up. Look, you take your professors, you take your Democrats, basically all of the Democrats, and you just line them up against a wall.
Yeah.
And you shoot them.
Nothing like just, eradicating the people you disagree with in a democratic society. Like, that just seems like the perfect thing to do.
Well, it's Jesus's way, and I think that's what we need to keep in mind. Is that they're following the admonitions of Christ.
Yeah.
When they say that everybody should be shot.
Oh my God, we are watching on PBS right now the Rise of the Nazis. It's a little 3-parter that
sounds fun.
I recommend because it's terrifying. Because you watch it and you're like, oh yeah, we got people who want to do that, and we got people who want to do that, and how did it end up for Germany?
Totally parallel, right?
And 40s.
It's a little alarming.
Yeah.
I'll watch that, but I'll wait until January to do it. Maybe February.
I suggest just getting having a few drinks before starting it, just so you
nice toasty.
Yeah.
I've been exploring the world of hot alcoholic beverages. I made a mulled wine last night that was delightful.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Anyway, we had some folks call into us. We got some people to listen to and to chat with. So Amanda wrote in. She said, "Blessed. Can I just tell you how much I hate this term? Your #thankful show brought it to mind. I'm blessed." So what does that mean for the rest of us? When someone's doing well, I'm blessed. So I'm struggling. So God just doesn't like me for some reason? Yesterday I popped into a Ross for socks and soaps. I thought, I love those huge damn French bars of soap. And I kid you not, almost every single bar had some sort of blessed saying on it. Like their soap brand is doing so good. Blessed! Luckily, I found good old Franco soap hidden way down on the bottom shelf that said Gardenia. Not blessed, the way soap should.
Right.
Love you. Not blessed, Amanda.
That's wonderful.
Well, yeah. Ugh. The blessings, they just pour down on us, don't they?
Yeah.
And we had someone call into us.
It is also part of a larger problem, though, that I've noticed, which is this need to and I don't mean to offend anybody, but to just put words on things, right?
Yes.
I don't need to know. I don't need the instruction when I walk into a dining room that tells me to eat, right?
Right.
And I'm just going to say it.
Yeah. I don't.
We don't have to put words on everything. Why do we put
90% of the words that you're putting up on your whatnot? Yeah, we don't need that. It's not branding to put blessed on your. Here's a question for you, Frank. Here's something I've never known the answer to because I live in Salt Lake City, Utah, and we Mormons are very different than like your Baptists, your evangelical Christians down in the South.
Okay.
They don't say blessed in the same way that they do down there. So when people say, because I keep reading accounts of this happening and I don't know what it sounds like. Do people say have a blessed day or do they say have a blessed day?
Oh, geez. I don't really recall, to be honest.
You Southerners write into me and let me know
Is there an
if
extra
you say
syllable?
blessed or blessed.
Have a blessed day. I bet it goes both ways, Dan.
Blessed sounds sort of a little better.
Sounds
Blessed
fancier.
day. Yeah,
Have a
I don't know.
blessed day. Have a
Both
blessed.
are equally annoying in reality.
Yeah.
We had someone call into us, did we not?
Dan, we did. This is a listener who who really got into the show this year, like a lot. So let's just listen to his message.
Hey Dan, my name's Mark. I've been a listener for almost a year now, and you're officially one of my favorite atheist podcasts, if not my favorite atheist podcast. This sort of at the end of the year here, it's kind of become a trend on Instagram to post your most listened to podcasts, songs, what you like, what you prefer, what you think is more popular for yourself. And I got a detailed report, and I listened to you guys for over 9,000 hours this year. So it's crazy. To me, to think that I listened to you for over 9,000 hours, but it was a good time. You know, come to think of it, it may have been minutes. I should have figured that out before I called you. But regardless, you guys are excellent to listen to. I love it, and I'm going to keep listening. Thanks, guys. Bye.
9,000 hours?
Thank God you figured out that it was minutes, because I was going to be real worried.
Well, that's like 375 days. Just constant
You could have extra
listening.
days.
Huh?
You might have extra. You never know.
24 hours a day. Anyway, Mark, that's wonderful. 9,000 minutes. That is like, that's a lot too. Holy crap.
I can't believe we put out so much crap into the world, Frank.
That's 150 hours.
We are producers of crap. Listen, I gotta say, I like this trend of people sharing that they listen to us. That's always a good thing.
Yeah.
If you wanna help us out, you might do this trend of saying how much time you've spent listening to your old pals Frank and Dan. That doesn't hurt nothing. Craig wrote into us. Craig says, "Hi, Frank and Dan. I just wanted to write a quick note to say thank you for the podcast and the work you put into it. I'm a relatively new atheist coming out of fundamentalist, then Anglican background, and I appreciate hearing your perspectives on religions and current events. I've been listening to past episodes to keep my brain engaged at work, and it's been interesting to experience the pandemic in reverse and to remember the before times when everything was, well, still just as crazy." Yeah, but we could go out then. That's the thing.
No.
Anyway, I was led by the spirits of Davis and Hannah to also send a donation as a small way of saying thank you, and I look forward to more episodes in the future. And Craig did send us a one-time donation, so thank you so much.
Thanks, Craig.
For that. Also, we got a couple of other one-time donations. One from S. Nova, so thank you so much. And another one from S. Nova has signed up to be a recurring monthly subscriber. So thank you so much. You now, S. Nova, have the Aaronic priesthood for your trouble. Welcome to that. You're a deacon.
That's awesome.
And Taru has sent us a one-time
nice
donation as well.
Fantastic.
Thank you so much for that.
And
do we have any new patrons on your end of things?
we do. We have actually 4 people who signed up this week on Patreon. We need to thank. First, we have a deacon by the name of Imaginary Lloyd.
I love it. Well done.
So thank you very much. And then we have
so much better than real Lloyd.
then we have 3 new teachers. We have Kellum, we have Kayla, and Gretchen. So thank you to the three of you. And if you would like to follow suit, you can go to thankgodimatheist.com and clicking on the support tab. You can sign up on Patreon. There's also an option for PayPal. And it's extremely helpful. It helps us keep the show running. And as always, Dan, we have our Lord and Savior, our top donor, to thank. Davis!
Bravo.
Hey, Dan.
Hey, yes.
Before we get to our interview with Noah, we should probably mention something that's going to be coming up, and also mention that we did have this live stream event this last week.
We just had a live event this week for our patrons only, and it was a delight.
It was awesome. We had a great turnout. It was a lot of fun. But we have decided that we need to do another one, and we're going to do it for everyone. It's going to be.
We're making it big. We're going big.
It's going to be completely
with this, you guys.
open.
We're going to be talking about it in the upcoming weeks.
Yeah, and what we decided was that this year of all years, people probably, I think we want to celebrate that there's going to be a new year, right? But we probably don't have a lot of outlets for that. And so we're going to do a live stream New Year's Eve event and we're going to be bringing on guests. We're going to bring in probably at least a couple different time zones as they hit the new year. And
some of you will already be in the wrong year. Some of you, or the right year. Yeah. Some of us will. Some of you. But we're just going to ring in the new year. You don't have any parties to go to, and if you do, you need to cancel because that's the wrong
and
thing
come
to
hang
do.
out.
So you might as well
come have a drink
party
with us, have a good time with us. We're going to have it be fun and light. It'll be streamable on YouTube. So you'll be able to put it up on your TV.
I plan on cracking a bottle of champagne every time we hit a New Year's time
and downing it.
And we're just gonna
before we get to the next New Year.
Yeah, yeah, we're gonna do it. All right. Well, that's gonna be delightful. Well, Frank.
Yes, Dan.
There are a lot of books starting to come out now about the pestilence that God hath wrought upon the earth in this, the year of our Lord 2020.
Indeed,
Bible teacher Walter Brueggemann released a book called Virus as a Summons to Faith, which seems to claim that when his God appears to have killed a few million people with a worldwide plague, that's a good time to believe in him more. Oxford maths professor John C. Lennox asks and presumably answers the very reasonable question, where is God in a coronavirus world? Minister John Piper has Coronavirus and Christ. Anglican Bishop N.T. Wright has God and the Pandemic. Reverend Samuel Rodriguez has From Survive to Thrive with the annoyingly alliterative subtitle, Live a Holy, Healed, Healthy, Happy, Humble, and Honoring Life. Yuck. Even Pope Francis has weighed in with his entry, Christ in the Storm. Now, all of these books come at the pandemic from roughly the same angle. No matter how you look at the virus, whether it's God's judgment against humanity, which is the take of at least one of those books, or something he's too busy to or uncaring to fix, God is still good, and you should definitely keep giving your church money. Well, today we're joined by someone whose new book, Outbreak, A Crisis of Faith, takes a slightly different angle. Noah Lugeons, welcome to Thank God I'm Atheist.
Thanks, man.
Woo!
Thanks. It's great to be back on with you guys.
Yeah, it's been a minute since we had a chat.
Yeah, that it
we
has.
need to rectify that. We need to have you on regular.
Hell yeah, man. I'll write books more often.
Yes, do it. Well, I mean, here's the thing. There are two kinds of people in the world, right? There are the kinds of people who, when the pandemic hit, and these are the kinds of people like myself, who, when the pandemic hit, turned immediately into just sloth, like slugabeds who didn't do anything. And then apparently there's this crop of people who, despite having, what do you have now, 52 different podcasts, you still found time to write a book? What the fuck is going on?
Well, yeah, a lot of people were like, well, it's great that you found something to do with your quarantine time. And I'm like, no, I still had a full workload this whole time. Like, I podcast for a living. There was no downtime here, you know?
I don't know how you did it, man.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm really fortunate in that I work with some super, super talented guys that were willing to pick up a little slack for me. So I was able to take a few episodes off of a few of our shows while we were putting this together. And it's got my name on the front of the book, but it was a collaborative effort with my co-hosts, Heath Enright, Eli Bosnick, and our friend Andrew Torres from the Opening Arguments podcast, who also wrote the foreword of the book. But it was something that we all conceived of and worked on together. So, I had a lot of help in the outlining. A lot of, these guys, I had a lot of really good voices in my ear as I was writing it, going back through the chapters I'd already written with suggestions and ideas. So that, as one single person, I very seriously doubt I could have got it done as quickly as I did.
So tell us about the book itself. I'm going to guess that you come to slightly different conclusions than, say, the Pope vis-a-vis this virus and the pandemic and religion's part in it.
Wow, man, I would think that Pope would be a little bit more hesitant to say, yes, it is the wrath of God. But as I quote in the book, he has said that this is like nature's revenge.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right? And I mean, if you're going to personify nature and you're the Pope, you're talking about God. Like, he doesn't believe in some kind of hippie, spiritual, Mother Nature spirit thing, right?
I mean, maybe, but wouldn't it be interesting if he did?
Yeah, so, but, look, so the angle that we took on the pandemic was that it's going to be really easy for the future to look back at this problem, at this, at not just obviously the pandemic, but at the disastrous response from the American government and say, well, of course they had that response. Donald Trump was in charge back then. Mm-mm. And my argument in the book is, while there is no doubt in any reasonable person's mind that Donald Trump exacerbated the problem and made it worse than it was, America's religiosity and its commensurate lack of willingness to just trust in and believe in science doomed us one way or the other. We could have had a President Hillary Clinton, and we still would have had anti-maskers, and we still would have had armed assholes charging into the Michigan courthouse. In fact, they may have been even more emboldened if their person hadn't been in charge on a federal level.
Yeah.
That's hard. It's hard to know how that would have played out.
No, I agree, though. That makes a lot of sense to me.
I would think that, look, I think it would have been certainly much better. I don't think that the idea of, because I live in South Georgia, you guys live in Utah, I would imagine, you're seeing the same thing as I am, which is that the majority of people around me still now don't wear masks.
Ugh.
Wow.
The stores all in town, they have signs, many of them, that say you got to have a mask on. Nobody's stopping anybody who isn't wearing a mask. The majority of people aren't. The people that you do see wearing them are largely either elderly or minorities. And I point that out because there's just obviously we're talking about Democratic voters much more often in that instance, right? So I don't think we would have been divided as much, and I don't think there would be I don't think the anti-mask stuff would have anywhere near the momentum it does if we didn't have Schmuck El Orange in charge. But I still think that it would have been very problematic. And look, I mean, I think honestly the worst thing that religion is going to do vis-a-vis this virus is still something that's still in the future, right? Which is to sow distrust about the vaccines once they're available.
Right.
Yeah,
well,
really
I mean, that's already happening.
Yeah.
That's this is the big discussion on Parler, right? Or Parlay, depending on how fancy you want to pronounce it. So yeah, I mean, it's already there. They're already talking about how Microsoft wants us to take the mark of the beast in Merck in Pfizer's vaccine or whatever.
Yeah, we're never getting rid of this thing.
Yeah, right.
Just settle in for the long haul, everyone.
Yeah, and so that was my big point in writing the book, was to say that, like, look, let's not pretend that once Trump is gone, our problem is solved, and all we got to do is clean up the mess that he left. Right, because all of the various, the variables, all the levers that were in that position to where we wound up being governed by Trump and his, evangelical acolytes are still in the same basic position. Biden barely managed to win the election.
Right. If you believe things like, the poll workers and election officials.
Numbers.
Right.
Yeah. Right, numbers and counting will also tell you that the Earth is older than the Bible says. So we can't really trust that now, can we?
Right. So I mean, I think you're absolutely right that there is this much greater problem to do with the religiosity of America. But that it doesn't just affect the pandemic; it affects everything we've got in this society.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, but I think it's obviously it's most present or most visible, I guess, when we're dealing with a problem that only science can solve.
Yeah.
Because that's when religion wants to get in there the most and say, yeah, but I want to play too. Whether that's by pretending that they've got the real cure or just by throwing shade on science's solution.
Well, and not just that, also demanding the privilege that they've had for all of this time in a time when their privilege will now start to kill people. Mm-hmm. So demanding to meet with their congregation when we all can see that will end up leading to people's deaths, and yet the Supreme Court of the United States has just said, no, even that is no excuse to tell someone they can't go to church.
Yeah. I was talking to a lawyer friend yesterday about exactly that. I said, hey, look, if I'm the governor of a state and I have to I got a hurricane bearing down on my coastline, do I have to exempt churches from my evacuation orders now or what? Yeah. And his answer was, I think you actually do.
Yeah, it's kind of. I mean, look, I don't take joy in this pandemic at all, but it's insane to me that these pastors who insist on meeting and who are bathed in the blood of Jesus and don't need to worry about no virus, they're killing their own parishioners. They're culling their herd. It's what I mean?
Yeah, but you know what? I thought about that the other day. I feel like most of the pastors I know probably, you're getting rid of a repeat customer, but often you get a big lump sum right there. You know what I mean?
God, that's sadly true. Yeah.
So I don't even know if financially that might be in their best interests. So.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Oh my God. Well, so what's the cure for this? In your opinion, what's our way out from this point?
Yeah, that's the $64,000 question, isn't it? Well,
it's just a small little question. No,
right.
Don't make it bigger than it has to be. It's just a tiny little thought.
I think the most important thing is plenty of atheist podcasts, right? We've got to make sure that those are being listened to far and wide. No, but honestly, that is kind of the answer. I think education is the answer.
Right.
And I think that religion was quicker to get there than we were. Like, religion realized that education was the answer before, and that's why they've been doing so much work trying to sneak their way into textbooks and sneak their way into school boards and change curricula and all this other stuff.
You're right. Yeah, it's one of those things, I don't know if you're aware of this, but Frank and I have actually started an initiative with Thank God I'm Atheist to try and counteract that by encouraging atheists, secular people to run for office, to get more politically engaged, the way that the Christian right did starting way back in the 80s and 90s. Mm-hmm. So we're probably going to have to enlist you guys to help us with that at some point.
Yeah, well, so that, that's what I feel like that all the time because you can't elect me to anything, right? Right. There is no elected position in the world that I'm ever going to hold. But I can encourage a lot of these straight folks that listen to the show to not just, like you said, not just get more active, but to be vocal about their atheism.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Not to not just like sneak a Trojan horse into the school board that we snuck an atheist in that said they were Anglican or whatever. No, I'm talking about somebody who says they're atheist, and that's the thing, right? Is that we abandon all of the local positions and just look at the very top so often in politics, whereas the right has done a very good job of focusing on that sort of that ground level.
That's exactly right. Yep.
Yeah, I think that's super, super important. Like, if more atheists took an active interest in shit like city council, we'd be in a better world.
Well, and your point about visibility is also just as important, because it's important for the people who represent us to know who we are. And I think even if they're not atheists that are the representatives, if they're aware that 20% of their constituency is non-God believing, maybe there's a way that they can, chill out a little bit about privileging specific religions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, and you say that 20%, of course, that's the national number, more or less. But, like a politician out of 25 of 50 states, or say 20 of 50 states or whatever, is going to have a much more favorable number than that,
Yeah.
If you're the senator
Absolutely.
in like Vermont or something, you can be an atheist.
Yeah. Who could live in Vermont and still believe in God? Honestly. Seems impossible.
I feel like I could do it like, whatever, May through November, probably early November.
Sure. So Noah, tell us where we can go to purchase your fine book and what versions are available.
All right, so as much as I hate to send people to Amazon, that's where you got to go to get it. You can get it as an ebook or as a paperback. The audiobook version is coming very soon. It's real tricky to self-publish on audiobook compared to self-publishing in the more traditional means. But we've got that in the works. So just look for Outbreak, A Crisis of Faith, How Religion Ruined Our Global Pandemic. Just remember, it makes a great stocking stuffer for the atheist in your life or the annoying Christian that always sends you, the case for Christ.
Absolutely, yeah. Send it to all of your annoying Christian people. Last I checked, you had a podcast or two as well. Do you want to tell us what those are and where people can go to find you?
Yeah, sure. You can, wherever you have found this podcast, you can check out The Scathing Atheist, God Awful Movies, The Skeptocrat, or Citation Needed. We also have a brand new one, or I guess it's not brand new anymore, it just feels brand new to me, called D&D Minus. It's a D&D playthrough that I do with a couple of my co-hosts. Ton of fun. And if you're like me and you think to yourself, why would I want to listen to other people play Dungeons & Dragons? Give the show a shot. Just listen to the most recent episode, and I think you'll get it.
Well, to be perfectly honest, Noah, when I first heard about a podcast that spent as much time as a movie takes to make fun of a movie, it didn't sound like it would be very fun either. But I really enjoy the show. So I would say, yeah, you probably should check it out before you dismiss it.
Well, thank you.
Noah Lugeons, thank you so much for coming on the show. We wish you the best with the book and with all of your 3,000 different podcasts and any other endeavors that you've insanely, maniacally chosen for yourself.
Well, thanks a ton, man.
And go win those elections in Georgia, will you?
Oh,
yeah,
yes,
I got my absentee ballot is on the way.
Ooh. Nice. All right, nice to talk to you, Noah. If you at home have anything you'd like to say about our conversation with Noah or anything else about the show, please feel free to write into us, podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or call and leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442.
Yeah, hey, go to the Facebook page, will you? Facebook.com/TGIAtheist. You'll get announcements about our New Year's Rockin' Eve coming up and all sorts of other things.
And if you'd like to join the TGIA Members Only Lounge, you can do so by going to thankgodimatheist.com/members only.
Hey, thanks so much to the Red Rock Hot Club for the use of their fine, fine music.
And thanks to Gordon Johnston for the use of his music. Also, guys, find us on Twitter at TGIAtheist.
Yeah. And thanks to all of you for tuning in.
Bye-bye.